This is the Grind to Greatness podcast, your dose of unapologetic tough love. These are your hosts, Mary Hodges and Ashley Kane.
All right, this is the Grind to Greatness podcast. This is our very first episode, so we are super excited to do this. I am Ashley Kane, and I have my co-host here with me, Mary Hodges. And our Grind to Greatness podcast is just a way to help people kind of just become into their greatness. I think there's so much material out there, and we just kind of want to hone in and help people and just show them how they can change their life and change their mindset. So we're going to cover tons of topics, how to take ownership of your personal success, your finances, your health, your productivity, and just overall fulfillment and happiness. Because after all, I mean, that's what we're all here for, right? Is to be freaking happy. So we want to do the first episode by kind of sharing who we are, why we're doing this. And here's Mary.
Thanks for that intro, Ashley. So again, thank you guys for being here. We definitely appreciate the support, and we're excited to see where this takes us. I'll give you a little, the short version of how I got here recording this podcast. I had been one of those people who did everything by the book, got the good grades, was the athlete, thought I was working hard. I was told if you work hard, you're going to get what you want out of life, right? So I kind of didn't have a lot of direction in college, so I decided maybe I'll just go to law school. I think my parents would like that if I became a lawyer, right? No one else in my family's a lawyer. So I went the route of going to law school, did well, got out of law school, and reality somewhat sunk in. Our economy crashed not too long before, and there just weren't a lot of jobs out there. So I had found myself at one point, I had moved back from Miami to St. Louis, which is my hometown. We'll talk about why I did that later, because most people say you're crazy for doing that. Why the hell would you ever do that? That's neither here nor there. I found myself just struggling to find a legal job. I was waiting tables at night, found a part-time job at a law firm, but thinking to myself, okay, who lied to me? Who lied to me? Because I literally had top grades, did everything right, scholarships, scholar athlete, you name it. And I'm sitting here waiting tables at night. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I certainly wasn't above it because I'm willing to do what I got to do to survive. But I certainly was wait, I've got all this student loan debt and I'm waiting tables. I had to literally take a hard look at myself. If I was not pleased with where I was, I had to take a hard look at myself, and I knew that I had to make some changes. And, I had been a law of attraction person. I had loved the law of attraction, but I wasn't putting it into practice. So I started putting it into practice and really made personal development a huge component of my life. Personal growth, reading about successful people, studying successful people, sharing what I learned with others. I found myself being that friend that everybody turned to when they really needed somebody to listen to them, when they really needed to have support for something they were going through. And I loved being that for people. So, I came into wanting to, live out my passion of helping people. And Ashley and I got together and decided to do a podcast. I'm a lawyer. Did I mention that? I'm a lawyer, so I like to talk. And I thought, why haven't I been podcasting yet? So Ashley and I kind of got together and decided that, our purposes aligned and we wanted to do this together. So I'll let you take it away, Ashley, and tell everyone about yourself.
Well, okay, so again, I'm Ashley Kane. So my journey started in 2007 when I first learned about the law of attraction. I had a friend that I work with, and he was actually my manager at this job that I was working. And one day he came to me, I was probably complaining about something. And he came to me and he was like, well, whatever you think it is or whatever you think it isn't, your self-fulfilled prophecy. He was from Trinidad. And I was like, what does that even mean? A self-fulfilling prophecy? So I actually went home that night and I really thought about it. And I think I probably like typed it in Google or something like that. And I was like, what is he talking about? So I ran across this movie called The Secret. And I'm sure tons of people, you guys have probably all heard about it, where it talks about, visualization and whatever you think about, you bring about and that type of thing. So I just got engulfed in that type of studying. And I read Deepak Chopra books, which he's amazing, Tony Robbins. And I started studying all these people. And to this day, I'm still studying because there's so many actions that you have to put into play. You can read about it, but if you don't take the action to do the law of attraction and actually like kind of make it your own, it's not going to come into play for you. So I have a radio background and I've been wanting to do a radio show for so long and do a blog to help people. And like Mary just started doing this blog. I'm like, damn, like let's get together and do this podcast. So that's kind of where we came and that's where we are now. So we really appreciate anyone who's listening right now, just taking the time to listen to us. And what we're going to talk about now is being average and why it sucks. So we're going to kind of talk about some statistics and we'll go into some other details.
Yeah, so that was an awesome intro, Ashley. Interesting because my first experience with law of attraction was The Secret too. So that's probably why our stars aligned and our paths brought each other to doing this.
Exactly.
So I'm going to cover some statistics with you guys. Try not to be depressed after I read these. So here it goes. The average income for a woman working full-time is $40,000. A man is $51,000. The average household is $134,000 in debt, and that includes obviously credit card, mortgage, auto, student loans. Half of all households with Americans 55 or older have not saved a penny for retirement. And 52% of people hate their jobs. As far as health goes, the average person is about 23 pounds overweight, and 70% of Americans are either overweight or obese. And we're going to close with the fact that the average person is watching 5 hours a day of TV. So that translates into about 35 hours a week, probably even more so on the weekends too.
That's more than you work your damn job.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So if you fit the mold of the average person, you probably have some financial stress. You might have some health issues. You might be a little out of shape, not eating well, not working out. You also probably hate your job, which sucks, which that probably means you hate getting out of bed in the morning. It probably means you live for Fridays and dread Mondays.
Snooze button.
Right. You probably how many of you out there listening hit the snooze button? We're going to talk about that in other episodes, but that's definitely an interesting phenomenon. And look, I'm not saying that if you're an average person that you suck as a person. That's not it at all. I'm not saying that if you're an average person, you don't have a reason to be happy. I'm sure there are many people out there that feel happy and fulfilled and fit into that mold. I'm willing to bet, though, that most people that fit that mold are unfulfilled, could use a little bit more happiness in their life. Ashley, after we talk about those statistics, what do you think it is? Why is it that being average comes with financial stress, comes with health issues? Why do you think that is?
Well, there's one word that sums it up: mediocrity. People, mediocrity, medium. You're right in the middle. I think there's so many factors that come into play. One thing is your job. You get in this mundane cycle. Most people probably work a job that they don't have a passion for. They don't necessarily love, like they can't wait to get up in the morning and hit the ground. So you think about, okay, you're trading your time for money. So you're trading 8 to 9 hours a day, maybe more, to do something that you're not super crazy about at a flat hourly rate. And if you're lucky, you probably, maybe if you're a salesperson, you get commission, but you're still trading your time for money. So I think that's probably the biggest factor, because you get stuck in a rut. I think I'm a huge advocate for healthy eating and food and what they put in our food. And I know our consumption of sugars, which turn into nothing, is controlling, is making you sluggish and controlling how you think. And I mean, just do research on sugar and your mind will be blown. I mean, those are just two things that I think about right off top. What do you kind of think?
Well, going back to, remember when I asked who lied to me about working hard and success? I had actually heard a very interesting speech. A CEO of this health and wellness company that I'm a part of gave this really amazing talk about the script. And it was just so powerful that I'm going to share it here with you because I think this has a lot to do with why we're in the state that we're in. And if you're out there listening, I want you to, if you're sitting in the car on the way to the commute or at home, wherever you are, I want you to see if you can finish the last word of the sentence. And if the last word of the sentence is the same thing that I say. When you're a child and you're getting ready to go to school, your parents always say, when you go to school, you got to get good grades. And then when you're got to work hard, get good grades, so you get into a good college. And while you're in college, you work hard, get good grades. So when you graduate, you can get a good job. And you work hard in your job for years and years and years so you can make a lot of money, so you can retire and then be happy. All right, I'm going to break down so many things that are wrong with that. I'm sure a lot of you were able to recite that script, which basically tells me that no matter what, where you are, what your upbringing was, we were all fed the same script. And what I learned about this from our CEO was that this was something that was designed in the Industrial Revolution back in the 1920s. Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, John D. Rockefeller. When this mass industrial revolution was happening, they needed the middle class to essentially be factory workers. Mm-hmm. They needed people to memorize, regurgitate, and repeat. They needed people to produce things in an assembly line. They needed people not to question authority. They needed people to go along with the script. And at that time, things were different. People actually could go to work in a factory, live off one income, and make a decent middle class living, have disposable income to save for retirement, to go on vacations, etc. But the thing is, our education system was molded off that script. Well, our economy has changed drastically. I think the number of students, I can't remember the exact statistic, but the number of students that have graduated college that live at home in their parents' basement is staggering. Our times are not the same. We live in a global economy. Work is not the same. Wages are depressed. We can talk about all the economic policy, for days, but the point of the matter is our times are not the same, but our education system has stayed the same, mm-hmm. and the script has stayed the same. We're like cogs in a machine, basically. And I think that translates because we spend so much time at work making money to just be able to afford the house we live in. We don't even get to spend time in it. And when we are spending time in it, we're watching 5 hours of TV a day. I think that just repetitive, memorize, regurgitate, repeat, lack of innovative thinking, lack of resourcefulness is a huge, huge issue of why people are just so mundane, why the average sucks. But we'd like to change that. So what do you have to say about what people can do to change the average?
Well, I think the answer to that is kind of one thing that I was going to add into is that we're trained to believe that it's hard to get money. We're trained to believe that you must work hard to earn money. We're trained to believe that you must, fit into this mold and get married, have kids, have a white picket fence. And there's all this pressure on people to fit into a mold when really you just need to be yourself. So the first thing is to open up your mind and really kind of reflect on your upbringing for one. Who fed me different material? You know what I mean? I was fed to be skinny and look pretty and, make money, but it's hard to get money, so you better go to, you better do all these things, So I think the first thing is to really realize that a lot of these things are lies that, for one, other people tell us, and another thing that we tell ourselves. So opening up your mind to changing your mindset, which, we'll get into changing your mindset a ton, but just being open to learning about new ways of thinking.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's a big one.
Money mindset, which I love. We're going to have, obviously, episodes dedicated to that. But that's a huge thing because, what are the things that you've been told to believe? I remember my dad always yelling at it. Dad, I'm about to call you out, Dad. Sorry, first episode. We would walk in the house. It would be summer. And he would instantaneously close the door. Money's flying out the window because the air conditioning was running. How many, does anyone have a parent that did that to them?
I think everyone does.
And so or money doesn't grow on trees. I don't want to get too far into money mindset, but I think that's huge because, money allows you to have opportunity. It allows you to help people. So we're going to definitely get into that. I think that's really, really awesome for you guys to start thinking about. What are some of those things that, what are some of the beliefs you have about life in general? And are those beliefs actually supporting your success, or are they supporting an average life? And another thing to think about, we don't want average to be bad. Average doesn't have to be bad. What if average was a family making $100,000 a year? What if average was most families got to take their family on an awesome vacation? What if average was maybe only 5 pounds overweight or even not overweight? Or what if average was, 75% of people loving their jobs? So, the idea of having personal autonomy and being able to take control of that is what we want to help people do.
And start reading people, except don't just read Facebook, read books. Okay, just had to say that.
Read books, yes. Another thing too is going back to personal responsibility. We were having this conversation about being woke because that's a term that a lot of people are using. You see a lot of people talking about that as it relates to race and social justice issues, gender equality, and those are huge issues of our time that are, that we need collective society to participate in, to move forward on things for sure. But what about people waking up to their own personal circumstance? You are the only person that has control over how you feel when your head hits the pillow at night. You have 100% control over that. And so why not start to take ownership of that and do the things that you need to do to become a better person, to have more fulfillment, and to move the needle. We want to move the needle of average. We don't want to read statistics of what the average are and feel depressed. We want to read statistics of what the average are and feel good.
Exactly. And one of my favorite speakers, his name is Les Brown. He's amazing. He talked about that in one of his pieces. And he was saying that, it is very challenging to try to think about changing the world. But what if you just focused on changing yourself? Don't you think that if you changed yourself in the ways that you want, not anyone else's standard, but how you want to change, that would trickle down into maybe rubbing off on someone else, or maybe helping someone else that you didn't even know that you were going to help? So a lot of times we're helping strangers that we don't even know, that you may just walk by someone and smile. You know what I mean? So there's so many little things that we can do, I think, that can contribute to changing the world, instead of just thinking about taking on this huge task of changing the world. Let's just worry about ourselves and take that self-responsibility. Yeah.
And I think another way that people need to look at, being average, obviously, is the sum of all your decisions. So what decisions are you making on a daily basis in your life? And the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is that successful people plan to succeed. They plan their success. They think they're forward thinking. They think about the future. And when I mean plan your success, you have goals. You have a yearly goal. You break that down into what do I need to accomplish this month? At the end of the workday, you think about what do I need to accomplish when I get into work tomorrow? And so your decisions are already made for you based on the life that you want. You're going after something that you want. Average people make decisions based on how they feel in the moment. So I call that decision-based action versus emotion-based action. you think about, oh, I'm going to go to the gym after work today. Well, when you get home, the minute you plop your ass on the couch, you're going to not feel like going.
Yeah.
And when and then you make that decision based on how you feel in the moment. The successful person may not feel like going, but they've already decided to go. And they've already committed to a certain life. And they know that, hey, I made this decision to go to the gym because I intend to be healthy. I intend to have these things in my life. And even though I don't feel like going, I'm going to go. And that kind of brings, Ashley and I both read this amazing book that we just can't stop talking about, called The 5-Second Rule. And it talks a lot about how people basically act in the moment.
Right.
And Mel Robbins does a really great job of just giving a really simple solution for anytime you feel like not doing something. A simple way you can count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and go with your instinct. Go with the initial instinct of going to the gym. We could probably dedicate an entire episode to that book, which we may, because I loved it so much.
Yeah. It's amazing. One thing that basically her whole theory is based on activation energy. So when you count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you shoot up. So that's activating the energy because it takes as much energy to stand up and get out of bed as it does to ride a bike. So, but let's keep it real. That shit is hard. Like, no one feels like going to the gym. No one feels like making sales calls. No one feels like doing the things that they do to have to succeed. And that's something that comes right from her talks and some of her stuff on YouTube. But we're not going to pretend like I'm not perfect. Mary's not perfect. We're all in a growing season. So, but we've studied enough and we've done enough self-reflection that we feel like we can help others. So I just wanted to chime in and say that shit is not easy.
Yeah, it is definitely not easy. And the thing is that it's, it shouldn't be, I have this problem of, I obviously know what to do. And I do a decent job of getting stuff done and planning my life and making progress. But I'm also very hard on myself. Tony Robbins said something that impacted me a lot because he said people underestimate what they can do or overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10. And I remember times of setting goals, yearly goals, and life gets in the way. Life is hard. I run a law firm, but I have this business on. You know how long I've been wanting to do something like this? 2 years, at least 2 years. And I'm finally starting. So this is not to proclaim that either one of us here has all the answers or are perfect, but we definitely have wisdom to share and our own experience to share. But that statement made impact on me because I remember, you don't reach your goal, you get down on yourself, sometimes to the point where you give up. Exactly. And it's, 10 years is a long time. And I try to look at where I am in life. We compare each other to others, which is so not good to do. And I try to look at where I am in life and say, man, 10 years from now, my life is going to be so different than it is now. It's just if I'm going the same route, there's no way that it could be the same. And so you just have to look forward with, understanding that it's going to be challenging, but definite confidence that you're going to move forward and that's going to give you results you want.
So I think we should really take a look at some action items because we've talked a lot about, why sometimes life is terrible and how we can look at it differently, but how can we take action to actually change our life? And this whole podcast is about that. So these are just kind of an intro to some of the basics. And then of course, we're going to delve more into all kinds of topics as the weeks go on. But here's a couple things that you can do immediately. And this is Mary's baby. I want her to talk about her toolkit.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, if you want to back up real quick, the first thing though, you definitely should do every day, no matter what, is find gratitude. When you wake up, think of one thing that you're thankful for. And before you go to bed, think of one thing that you're thankful for. Start and end your day with gratitude. And that is so easy to do. It does not have to be some major, prolific, thing that you're grateful for every day. I mean, obviously family and friends and things like that. But, sometimes I just say that I'm grateful for the lounge I have in my office that I can sit and relax and read my book in the morning.
You got to get specific on your gratefulness, though. That's one thing that I studied a little bit about is, you can say, oh, I'm grateful for my family, but make it someone different every day. I'm grateful for my mom. She helped me out today. She gave me advice. Make it something that really means something.
Right. So it doesn't have to, like we said, doesn't have to be some like major moment in your life. You could be grateful for literally the spoon that stirred your coffee, that stirred the creamer in your coffee.
Right.
I mean, it could be so basic and so little.
What would you do if you didn't have that spoon?
Just rolled it around without the spoon. So we have on our website, go to thegrindtogreatness.com. We've built a life designer toolkit, and this is kind of that first step thing that you can do to really propel your life, to start the journey of propelling your life forward, to start that grind to greatness. And what that's going to do is take you through a couple of different exercises. The first one is just going to be about self-reflection, and I like to call this exercise the honesty hour. And the point here is to take time. I don't know how crazy your household is. Mine growing up was chaotic. I had 5 brothers and sisters, so it was like I felt like it was impossible to find some peace and quiet. But you really want to make sure, even if it's just 15 minutes, that you find some peace and quiet. You turn off your phone, you eliminate distractions out of your life, and you go through the questions that are going to just kind of ask you where you are in your life. Are you satisfied? And just get real with yourself. One thing to remember is not to get down on yourself. It's just to get real so you kind of gain some clarity and awareness of your current state so you can start to make changes. And then it's going to go through, planning what your vision is for your ideal life. Thinking big. What's the big picture? If you could design any life that you wanted, how would that look? And then, of course, a vision without action is just a vision. You have to take action. So it's setting the goals, kind of getting down to the micro level and setting the goals, and then taking action by thinking of what is the next step, first step that I have to take in order to move this goal forward. And that's just something you repeat over and over every day. What's the next step that I have to take to move this goal forward? Just because you set a goal doesn't mean you need to know every step that you have to take to get there. You just have to know the next step. Mm-hmm. And over time, those other, this next step will keep presenting itself to you. So go to thegrindtogreatness.com, download the Life Designer Toolkit. You can get it right off the homepage. And we want to hear your stories about anything you discovered, any breakthroughs you had when you were using it. So email us, Mary@grindtogreatness.com or Ashley@grindtogreatness.com. Follow us on Instagram, The Grind to Greatness, and hashtag The Grind to Greatness in anything that you share.
So let's just bullet point the takeaways real quick before we wrap everything up. So first thing you're going to do is you want to start your gratitude pattern. So morning and night, do your gratitudes no matter what. Take 5 seconds out of your morning and night. The second thing is download the Life Designer Toolkit, which in that toolkit, that's when you're going to get real with yourself. So look, you've already checked off like 3 things off of your list. And then in that, you're also going to be able to find out what's your why. So with those simple tools, you can start to realize how you can change your thinking, start setting goals for yourself, and, share everything with us. And we'll share back to you on the website, on the Facebook page, on the Instagram page too.
All right. And you can definitely get the show notes and any more information about the podcast at thegrindtogreatness.com/episode 1. So definitely check it out there if you want the show notes. We really, really thank you guys for your time. We're really excited to be doing this, and we cannot wait to have more conversations with you. We're here for you guys. So if there are any specific topics that you want us to cover that are important to you, please make sure you send us an email, Mary or Ashley at thegrindtogreatness.com. We are obviously open to doing things that you want because we're here to serve you.
We're going to have lots of fun episodes. We're going to have more conversational stuff like this, like we did today. We're going to have interviews of people. We're going to have stories. So we have tons of great ideas, but we also want to hear from you guys and what you guys want to talk about. So hit us up on all the social media sites on the website, and we will hopefully hear back from you guys soon. Peace.